Hola amigos, buenas tardes, buenas noches. It is great to see you. How are you doing? Oh my goodness, we're gonna have a lot of people on this call tonight. It is so exciting to meet each of you as face-to-face as we can, with everyone being everywhere. Leslie, the boss, she actually took a high school boys volleyball coaching position because our son is a senior. It was like her only chance to coach him in something, and so she did it. She played college volleyball. But anyway, they just finished their season. They didn't make it to postseason. It's a brand new team. But she's on a call right now, finishing up with like the regional, they're nominating like players of the region, best hitter, you know, all that kind of stuff. So she's finishing that up. She'll be here pretty soon. Find the chat box, por favor. First of all, I'm Rory. And Leslie and I, we are in Colorado. We're just outside of Boulder, just north of Denver, just east of Boulder, in a small town called Erie, Colorado. It's like a residential type community. So we are so glad to see you here. Find the chat box and let's get some basic info going in the chat. I'm going to share my screen real quick. By the way, I am recording this so that just in case you want to review something, or if in the future you have to miss a meeting, leave early, whatever, you can always watch the replay. Let me get my screen sharing here real quick so that you can see what I want you to put in the chat. Okay, there we go. So you should be able to see my screen. Let's put in the chat area, find the chat and drop it in there, your name, the city you're in, and the program you're on, whether that's educators, general, family, medical, whatever, okay? Let's see. I'm going to get my chat going. Awesome. Cheryl, Beth, great. Quinn, Miranda, awesome. All right, let's get it in there. Let's put some details. Okay, perfect. There we go. All right. Wow, it is going fast. I can't read that fast. Well, welcome everybody. This is exciting. We are going to have a wonderful program this summer, and a part of making it a great program is ensuring that we all know what's going on. We have realistic expectations. We know what's going to happen, and we're ready. We hit the ground running. So that's what part of these meetings, that's the purpose, for us to get to know each other a little bit and for you to really get a sense for what our day-to-day is going to be like while we're on program. So awesome. Thanks so much for saying hi here in the chat box, and welcome everyone. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started because we've got a lot to go through. And before we get started, Vanessa is on with us today. Vanessa is on the team with Leslie and I, and Vanessa is in Mexico. She will be joining us on the Costa Rica portion of the program. Vanessa, could you take a minute to introduce yourself, please?
Sí, hola a todos. Hi, everyone. As Rory said, I'm Vanessa. I live in Mexico, in Guadalajara, and I went to Costa Rica with Rory and Leslie on the winter, and it was really cool. It was amazing. So I'm sure you will all have an amazing time as well in the summer. And yes, I work with them. I help them with social media and in immersion. And anything you need, you can also contact me anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, Vanessa. Okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to change my sharing here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Vanessa, if you could help me by just interrupting as you see things come through the chat, because when I start this slideshow, I'm not going to be able to see the chat area. Okay.
Yeah.
So give me just 1 second, and let's get this going. All right, you should be seeing my big screen with a whole bunch of stuff on there. And now we should be able to see. All right, okay, awesome. So here we go. We've got la pregunta más urgente en la vida es ¿qué estoy haciendo por los demás? This is a sign that's on a running trail in Costa Rica that Leslie and I spent some time running on, and we've always loved this Calle El Palenque sign. It's a famous Martin Luther King quote, but the most urgent question in life is, what am I doing for others? And if you've been around Common Ground much, you've probably seen our mission, our goal, our sort of guiding values. Our mission is to impact communities through language and to use language to really make a difference in someone else's life. And when you think about your investment of time and energy and resources into traveling abroad, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, but let's keep the long-term objective in mind. The long-term objective is you're building your Spanish so that you can really make a difference over the long run in your community. That's the mission. That's the vision that we sort of want you to get a hold of and participate with us in. Okay, so la pregunta más urgente, ¿qué estoy haciendo por los demás? And so we congratulate you really on what you're doing, taking this step to really work on your Spanish, because you just never know how big of a difference you end up making in someone's life just through easier communication. Okay, so a few guiding rules here tonight. First of all, speak Spanish, English, Spanglish, doesn't matter. Just be participatory. Join us in the meeting tonight. If we're talking, you might consider using earbuds to cut out background noise and things like that. It just helps with audio quality. When you're not speaking, it would be great to mute yourself. And when you do speak, let us know who you are so we know who's talking. We can't always see the images pop up. And then yes, please chat it up in the chat box, which Vanessa, just a reminder, I can't see the chat box, so let me know if anything comes through. Okay, all right. What are we talking about tonight? First of all, we're going to spend some time getting to know each other. We're going to talk through COVID requirements, program participants, who is traveling where and when, and we'll talk about the definition or the meaning of immersion. We'll talk about some obstacles to really moving your Spanish forward while you're on immersion with us, and what our group commitment needs to be in order to overcome those obstacles. We'll review the general schedule. We'll preview very briefly some of our volunteer work that's going to come up throughout our weeks in both Ecuador and Costa Rica. And we'll talk optional excursions a little bit. La lista de delincuentes. Now, we're not actually going to publish a list yet, but delincuentes, you can guess what that means. This is the extremely embarrassing and shameful list of people who still have paperwork due. So you don't want to be on la lista de delincuentes, but we're going to show you what needs to be turned in so that you don't end up on la lista de delincuentes, because there's just no end to the shame of being on that list. Okay, and then próximos pasos. What are our next steps? Okay, we're going to start with las presentaciones. And there are too many of us to do a large group presentación. And so here's what we're going to do. You're going to introduce yourself, nombre and estado, profesión, your fruta favorita, and your most urgent question. Okay, so you've got 4 things to remember: name and state, profession, your favorite fruit, and what's your most urgent question. Okay, so you got to remember those 4 things. We're going to create 2 different breakout rooms. Vanessa, I'm going to send you off to one with half of the group, and I'm going to go into one with the other half of the group. Okay. So we've got your name and your state, your profesión, your fruta favorita, and your most urgent question. And Vanessa, we're going to take a list of those most urgent questions so that we can make sure we either answer them throughout the presentation or we can address them right now. Okay. All right. Let me get 2 rooms going. Hola, amigos. We might have cut you off. Sorry if I cut you off and you were in the middle of something in the otro grupo, but we needed to get back to the big group. So Vanessa, yes. Here are the questions that we got in our group. Where to go with my daughters on a weekend? What are the volunteer activities going to be like? Who's my host family? What's the best day to buy flights? What about dancing? Can we go dancing? And heard a rumor there's an off-program trip to Galapagos. What's that all about? Yes, it's a true rumor. And then Cotopaxi, what's that looking like in Ecuador? All right, so what questions did you get, Vanessa, in your group?
we also had a lot of questions. So some of them are about the weekend trips, like where are we going, where can they go? About laundry also, about kids' activities during the week, for the ones that are traveling with their families, transportation to and from the airport, what to pack, passport and everything, like getting ready, food. We have someone that's the first time that they're traveling internationally, so they are also want to know everything.
Yeah.
Also, people arriving before the program starts, like a day before, about Wi-Fi, volunteer, like the volunteer work, and I think those were all of them.
You had more questions than we did. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't finish. We didn't even
Oh no.
finish.
Okay. So drop them in the chat box, everyone. If I cut you off, if I was the bad guy and cut you off, just drop your questions in the chat box. We have the ones you've already spoken.
I was going to say, rest assured, Rory and I are nonstop in the details planning. And so you're going to start getting some very detailed emails here soon. A lot of the answers to some of the questions are in the pre-departure course. And we're going to go, once we get everyone's paperwork and flight itineraries, everything, then we can talk about those that arrive early and all that kind of stuff. So,
but we can answer all those questions tonight also. But here's what we're going to do. It's going to be so much suspense. You're going to love it. We're going to answer all the questions at the end. Okay. All right. So hang on through the end of La Reunión, por favor. Okay. I'm going to start sharing my screen again and we'll get back to the presentation. Vanessa and Leslie, if you could keep an eye on the chat, then we will make sure that we're in good shape there. Okay. All right. Let me get this screen share going. Okay, and here we go. Are we seeing the screen? Okay, perfect. All right, so COVID and yellow fever requirements. What? Yellow fever? I didn't see anything about yellow fever. Yes, okay, so there's some things we need to talk about with yellow fever for Ecuador people. Okay, Ecuador, what are the COVID requirements for Ecuador? Okay, so you've got to be able to present your vaccination card. Ecuador requires this. You need a negative COVID RT, that's the rapid PCR test, within 72 hours of your flight. These are entry requirements to get into Costa Rica.
No, Ecuador.
Excuse me, Ecuador. Yes, sorry. Thanks, boss.
Yeah.
These are entry requirements to get into Ecuador. So and then also complete the traveler's health declaration. This is an online form. It's basically a symptoms tracker that Ecuador requires you to complete. Now, yellow fever, I said something about yellow fever, but the truth is we're not in a yellow fever risk zone in Ecuador. Ecuador isn't fully yellow fever risk. So there are the places that we're going we're not at risk for yellow fever. So if you're just going to Ecuador and you do not plan to spend a bunch of extra time going into the Amazon and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to worry about Ecuador. If you're just going to Ecuador, about yellow fever. If you're just going to Ecuador and returning back home, no problem. It's different for those of you who are going to Ecuador and then going to Costa Rica. So what are Costa Rica's entry requirements? Basically, there are no more COVID requirements for entering Costa Rica. Costa Rica has dropped them all within the last couple of months. So there's also no quarantine requirements. However, there is still mandated masking indoors. Goes the same for Ecuador. It is going to be a shock to all of our systems to go from basically maskless right now to being masked back up when we're traveling in Costa Rica and Ecuador. So keep that in mind. That's an important expectation to have. So there's a chance that you'll have to present your vaccination card to enter establishments like restaurants and hotels and things like that. Now, they told us this for the winter program as well. No one ever asked us for our vaccination cards. However, they were still requiring health passes and stuff like that in order to get into Costa Rica. Now that all that's dropped, kind of the word on the street is that certain businesses are may be more stickler about wanting to see proof of vaccination. So yes, you can have it on your phone if that's the question you're asking. Okay, now here's the yellow fever thing. If you are entering Costa Rica from Ecuador, you need a yellow fever vaccine. Costa Rica doesn't care that we were in the part of Ecuador that doesn't have a yellow fever risk. Costa Rica just sees, oh, you're coming from Ecuador? That's just like coming from Africa or some other place. You got to have your yellow fever vaccine in order to enter the country. So keep that in mind.
So Jill is asking an actual card or a picture of it.
So we travel with our cards, but not on our person day in and day out. We keep the card with our passports and we have the picture on our phones. Most establishments are fine just with that.
Okay. And Corinne is asking about typhoid vaccine in Ecuador.
I'm not aware of typhoid needs in Ecuador.
Yes, I looked it up the other day for our high school participants. So let me find it real quick, my notes, and get back to you.
Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. So that's the country level requirements. Let's just review briefly what we are requiring, Common Ground is requiring as far as COVID stuff. Okay. First of all, fully vaccinated. This shouldn't be a secret or a surprise. Everyone we've had phone conversations with, we've been talking about this, but yes, we're entering other people's homes as host families. We are being a part of a group. So we're asking everyone to be fully vaccinated. Proof of a negative test 3 days prior. So if you're going to Ecuador, no problem. You already got to do that to get into Ecuador. If you're just going to Costa Rica, then this is something that we're asking of you, a proof of a negative test. It can be whatever level of test you want. You can do it at home, just have a witness sign off on it, no problem. But we want proof of a negative test before your travel. This is something that keeps host families feeling comfortable about receiving a stranger into their home. This is something
how
that
we're able to do our volunteer work as well.
Absolutely. It's how we're able to be a part of community work while we're abroad. So it's important. Bien. Okay. Now let's look at the back end. What's it take to get back home? In December, there was a policy passed that all travelers, regardless of nationality and regardless of vaccination status, if you're coming into the United States by air through the airlines, you have to present a negative COVID test within 1 day of your return to the USA. So we'll help you figure all that out while we are in Ecuador, in Costa Rica. We have labs that we have relationships with that will help you get tested at so that you can do that and get home no problem. So, but it's got to be the day prior. It's not a 24-hour thing. It's just the day before or the day of your flight, however you want to coordinate it in whatever time your flight leaves. Okay. There are more details on the CDC website. After this meeting, I'm going to put together, I'll create a PDF of this slideshow and send it out and have it in your pre-departure course for you to download as well, so that you can review all this stuff, follow the links and everything. Okay. Leslie, any more to add here?
Yeah, so are all host families vaccinated? In Ecuador, all of our host families are vaccinated. Costa Rica, the majority are. So that is good news. Cheryl asked, my child is anxious about COVID. Can we request a family with vaccinations? Yes, and we will do our best. So you just need to, Cheryl, send me an email to remind me. And Patrick asked, what happens if a member of our family does test positive right before flight to Costa Rica? Reschedule, reimbursement.
Yeah, ideally reschedule, Patrick. The thing with like right before is that a lot of your family expenses are already paid out. And so that's hard to reimburse, but it's usually really easy to transfer. So that's the short answer on that one.
Sorensen family asked, does fully vaccinated mean booster within so many months?
No,
just 2 doses.
Yeah.
For right now. And Christy asked, is there a cost for that COVID test to come home? Yes, they run around $50 to $65.
In Costa Rica, I think it's like $40.
40. Okay.
So yeah, but there is a cost to that for sure.
Yep. And so I see some people requesting families that are vaccinated. So please put that in an email to us.
Yeah. Yep. And Vanessa, maybe you can sort of skim the chat here and make a note of folks requesting some of this, and we can add it, have Samantha add it to their profile.
And then Kristen is asking anyone can be a witness for the test, or does it have to be an official proctor? Anyone can be a witness. Okay.
All right. Awesome. All right. So Christy, yeah, good question. The free government tests do not suffice for the airline policies to returning to the US. There is, however, one of the doctors on our winter program purchased a Binax test, and it had some upcharge with it where there was like this video verification service where she swabbed herself and did the test with someone from Binax on a video call with her, and that worked. That served as her official approved negative test to get back to the States. That was the first time I'd seen it, but it's pretty neat. If you can find it, that would work. Okay.
Val says Abbott Labs does it too. The main thing we just need to make sure is that is accepted by the US, is a US government requirement. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about who is traveling when. So here are Ecuador travelers. Juan's coming in a week early because he just likes to do things early. And so there you go, Juan. You're going to be the only guy around that first week. And then El Grupo de Semana Uno, our first week group. This is Ecuador, yeah. And so then we've got our first week group here. And then during week 2, we've got these folks. If you are not on this list, but you should be, it's probably just a slight oversight on my part, but let us know in the chat area. Okay, if you can't find your name there, but it should be there, let us know in the chat. Okay. All right, great. And then we transition after the 2 weeks in Ecuador, we transition to Costa Rica. So Costa Rica in weeks 1, here's who we've got in week 1 in Costa Rica. It's a larger group. And then in week 2 of Costa Rica, here is our list. We've got a handful of families, medical folks, teachers, folks working on general Spanish. It's a large group in Costa Rica. So again, if your name's not on this list, but it should be, chat us up here in the chat box, and it's probably just a simple oversight. Okay, and then weeks 3 through 5 in Costa Rica, we're going to see that, little by little, progressively, the program gets smaller and smaller. So week 3, and then week 4, it's getting a little smaller, and week 5, we end up with the brave 2, Gabriel and Maria.
Right.
So
as you transferred information, you left people out.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, but
I knew I was going to. That's why I brought it up.
Exactly.
Yes, thank you. Okay, perfect. All right, Leslie, I think it's your turn. My voice, it's almost gone.
Okay.
All right.
My turn. And you should know, Rory is kind of like the big picture guy.
What?
And
what
I'm like the detail person, and Rory put together this list today. So rest assured, I've been studying the list, and our assistant Samantha as well. Okay. So we'll.
All right, there we go. We're still seeing. Look.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Okay. So we just want to be super clear about what an immersion program is, because if you look up immersion programs online, they are defined a million different ways. Yep. Okay. Ours is so unique, and we're passionate about it. So I want to know, you can put in the chat box, when we say immersion, what is the first thing that pops into your mind? Okay. If you're visual, it might be an image of something or a word or an adjective, but go ahead and put in the chat box, immersion. What pops into your mind?
Okay, that's a lot of mind popping there. Okay, look at that.
Okay, swimming, all target language, underwater, completely in Spanish, Spanish all the time, language, immersion in the culture, speaking only Spanish, practicing Spanish, all in 100%. Okay, good. We are definitely we're on the right track. Page, okay? Yeah. Living among native speakers, all Spanish all the time, underwater, puro español, deep dive. Love it, Gina. Hold them under till they stop bubbling. No, John. Okay. We still want it to be a joyful experience for sure. Authentic, cultural connection, socially engulfed. I like that word, engulfed. There you go, William. Spanish all the time. Okay, you guys got it. The image that pops into my mind is water, swimming pool, specifically our 3 kids jumping off the side of a pool, cannonball style. When you jump off cannonball style, full force, not one part of your body stays dry. And that's what it is. We're talking about the cinco sentidos, the 5 senses being immersed, the sight, sound, smells, tactile, everything. So it is going to be a fantastic experience. And because it is so immersive, you should prepare yourself that it can be kind of exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, swimming is tiring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Advance.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. When it comes to immersion, there is a danger. There's a danger. What is your biggest obstacle on an immersion program to exponential progress with your Spanish? What would you guess? What's your biggest obstacle? What do you think? Drop it in the chat area. What do you think is your biggest obstacle?
Anxiety,
fear,
fear
being
speaking,
alone,
embarrassment,
speaking English,
insecurity.
okay. All right, fear of mistakes.
Talking in too much English.
Okay.
Using English.
Yeah, in so many words, what everyone is saying is basically you, whether that's a fear that you have, whether that's a behavior, speaking English instead of Spanish, whether that's a particular reaction to circumstances that are ambiguous or out of your control. You truly are your biggest obstacle with immersion. And so it's good for us to see this list of things like, my own anxieties, my own fears. These are things that if you're not aware of them, can take you by surprise and undermine your everyday efforts on immersion. But being aware of them gives you the opportunity to address them head on and say, okay, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm doing. And it completely changes your motivation and your day-to-day reactions, interactions as we go throughout the program. So your second, you have something?
Look at how many people said embarrassment, making mistakes, lack of preparation. So another comfort you should take is you're in good company, right? You're not alone. You're not the only one that's afraid of making mistakes or fear of speaking or fear of not learning as much Spanish as you can or whatever. You're in good company. And that is precisely why Vanessa and Rory and I are there to support you and help you along the way.
Absolutely. Okay. Your second biggest obstacle to exponential growth is, okay, now we've already talked about each of us individually and how we address a situation, but it's truly the company you keep, who you're hanging out with, right? And so how are they interacting in different situations and scenarios? So you're gonna notice while you're on program that some folks are going to be speaking more English and some folks are going to be speaking more Spanish, and that's a reality. But if you are constantly surrounding yourself with English, you're going to limit your progress. Okay, our commitment, the only way that this works, and it does work, believe me, if we can all commit to this. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You might be thinking, Rory, I'm a beginner. How am I going to speak only Spanish? Here's how you're going to get there. Some people will be there sooner than others, but here's how we're all going to get there over the course of the time abroad. Making this commitment to yourself. I will always at least start in Spanish. And for some people, you'll start and your transition into Spanglish will come sooner than others. For others, you'll start and you'll keep going and it'll go longer, and then you'll get to the end of your rope and have some Spanglish in there. The only way this works as a group is if everyone makes this commitment. I will always at least start in Spanish, and even the beginners on the program, you will realize, oh my gosh, by the end of the first week, your transition time is so much later than what it was day one. And then week 2, even more. So exponential language growth can only happen for you if you make the commitment to, I'm going to always at least start in Spanish. That's all we ask of you. We don't ask that you have perfect Spanish. Heck no, impossible. Nobody has perfect Spanish. We don't ask that, you think through what you're going to say for so long that you finally say it perfectly. That doesn't matter. We just want you to communicate, but we want you to start in Spanish first. What else? That does it, right?
Yeah.
You'd be amazed, and you will be amazed to see everyone's progress if we can stick to this commitment. Okay, let's talk about the general schedule.
Okay.
All right, Monday through Friday, what's it like?
Okay, so Monday through Friday, in the mornings, we have either our community service work, our volunteer work, or our preparation for our volunteer work, or a cultural activity or excursion. So
Yeah, during the morning.
mornings
Yep.
vary depending on the week and our volunteer activities and cultural activities, things like that.
Yep.
Then we have lunch. Some of you will want to have lunch together. Some people take this time to have some downtime, maybe have some English time with their families, communicating at home. Just give yourself a brain break. Okay. And then we jump into so there goes my vacation, 7:30 a.m.
Oh, Adam, we should have talked before you signed up, Adam, because vacation.
And then Spanish classes are from 1 to 5 p.m. Okay. The focus is on communication. So you will not be sitting silent for 4 hours taking notes. You will be speaking during those 4 hours. And there's a half an hour break in between for a little cafecito.
Yep.
Okay. And then our weekends, we extend our weekends a little bit. Okay. Weekends are free, including Monday morning. And then we meet back together Monday afternoon for classes. We, in the pre-departure courses, we updated all of our weekend optional activities. So if you haven't been in there, you can get in there and sign up for the optional activities. We have, well, my favorite, chocolate. Okay, chocolate tasting, history of chocolate, coffee, another favorite, volcanoes, beach, turtles, lots of stuff going on in there. Cotopaxi, almost 20,000 foot glaciated peak in Ecuador, horseback riding. So good, get in the pre-departure course. We are asking you to register, to make a quick decision, register by or before May 11th. That is when we need to confirm our numbers with our guides and hotels and all that kind of stuff. So register before May 11th. They're in the pre-departure course. There are descriptions in there and prices and everything. There's no pressure. You can do what you want to do on the weekends, but if you want to explore some of our favorite parts of both of the countries, then you can join us on those weekends.
Awesome. Okay, 2 quick clarifications, 2 quick answers. All right, so Jill, can you sign up for the excursion before your program begins? Yes. And so in that case, Jill, you just want to come in like on Friday so that you're in and ready to go Saturday morning, and you just communicate with us about that extra night. And then El Curso, Jennifer, the pre-departure course there's a pre-departure course for every program, the medical program, the educators program, the family program, etc. Leslie or Vanessa can drop a link in the chat area here to the page that hosts all the pre-departure courses. But we can also send that out in an email. Okay. All right. So proyectos in the trabajo voluntario. This was some of the questions that people had, our volunteer work. So we're just going to give a very brief overview of what the main projects are throughout the different weeks on program. Okay. And then more details to come. So in Ecuador, we'll be working with Escuela Valle del Amanecer. It is an elementary school and a middle school. So it's like in Ecuador's system, it's like 1st grade to 10th grade, but it's before high school. So high school is like 3 more years after that. So teachers will be working with teachers, and the medical group is going to be actually doing some, they've requested that we do some basic checkups with both kids and teachers there. So we'll figure out how to do that and do it well. Costa Rica. So we just have one partner, one project there in Ecuador. In Costa Rica, week 1, one of our main partners in Costa Rica is a a place called Sedcas. And Sedcas is both a medical clinic with this house of health, they call it Casa de Salud. On top of that, within that Casa de Salud, there's all sorts of community education projects. And that's where we're going to be based for the bulk of our time in Costa Rica. It's a wonderful organization, and we love contributing to it.
So today we wrapped up our final meeting with Sedcas,
Yep.
And figured out all the details. And so you just need to give us a couple days to update that lesson in your pre-departure course. But Sedcas is a Costa Rican organization. It's been there for 30 years. They serve one of the largest shanty towns in Costa Rica.
Yep.
Of a population of 80,000 people. Okay. And we are going to have the opportunity to
do a handful of things.
Do a handful of things and see the reality of where these people live and work and the needs that they have. So what are we going to be doing?
Yeah. So week 1 is just kind of an orientation week, and we'll be putting together some donations for them. They just today asked us for if anybody has some like gently used like kids clothing and stuff like that, then that would be a very wonderful donation to bring. We also do what's called these canastas básicas, which are, it's the basic basket is the translation of it, but it's essentials for like a week or 2 of livings, like rice, beans, cooking oils, some pastas and things like that. And so these are like 20-kilo bags of stuff that we put together, and it's fun. We go shopping for them, and every time we're with Sedcas, we donate these, and it's a great way just to provide for some basic nutrition for some of these families. So that's what we're doing week 1. In week 2, the medical group is going to be doing some workshops with some women. The topics are still to be determined. The doctor there is going to be thinking about, what are some of the things that she wishes she had more time to educate her patient population on, and those are the things that we'll help with. Teachers are going to be doing some educational workshops with kids. Time out.
Sedcas, the donation, the canasta básica, we purchase all those items, groceries locally. Okay, we want to kind of stimulate their economy. And not have to carry all that down there.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So, and then also in week 2, we've got the Adults on General program, and families are going to be working at Lapa Verde. Lapa Verde is where we have our Spanish classes also. So you'll be really familiar with the place. What's happening in week 2 is the time when the school system in Costa Rica has its mid-year break. And yeah, July is our summer break. It's like in between years, but the school system in Costa Rica runs from February through December. And so July is the mid-year break. They've got 2 weeks off. So there's all sorts of kids in the community with nothing to do because they're out of school and maybe they're not traveling on vacation or whatever. And so we put together, what's the camp called? Campamento
Lapa Green.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids are coming from schools that are marginalized, low resource, and so they don't really have a safe or a good place to go. So we're putting on a day camp for these kids. We've done it for
years.
I don't know.
This is the staycation plan. This is the staycation plan for these kids. And so it is educational workshops for kids. And so it's wonderful for families. And anyone can do this kind of stuff. And so these are great workshops. Week 3, more of the same. So at Sedcas, families and the medical group, we're doing talleres educativos con niños also. So we're doing more of these education because it's 2 weeks of mid-year vacation. So, and it overlaps with our week 2 and week 3 in Costa Rica. And then teachers, you'll be in some escuelas, and that's something that is still sort of pendiente because every year about this time, administration changes in
it's
school
pendiente
districts.
still with COVID. So the next COVID in the Ministerio de Educación Pública, which is the public health or public education system, the next COVID restrictions will be published on May 15th. but we've heard word that they're going to be allowing volunteers.
Yeah, back in the
hopefully
schools.
back in the school. So that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
If not, we'll have another fantastic plan for you, but that's an option. It's looking
Yeah.
like it's going to be an option for our teachers.
Yeah. In weeks 4 and 5, our group's going to be small enough that, putting on a larger volunteer project gets pretty complicated with a smaller group. And so what we'll be doing during weeks 4 and 5 is some really fun sort of non-volunteer work, but more exploring, having fun, doing some more cultural things in those mornings. Okay. Weekend excursions. This was something that came up in our burning questions. Time out again?
Yes.
Okay.
So back to the volunteer work. I'll update that lesson, and you'll get a Google. I'll send out an email saying, please watch the volunteer lesson and sign up for a project on a Google document. We want you guys to, we know that you guys all have busy lives and things like that, but we want you to at least start thinking of an activity, thinking of the materials you'll need. What are the vocabulary, high frequency words and verbs that you need to be able to say in Spanish, brainstorming that kind of stuff, so that when we get down there, we can help you put everything into Spanish and practice the activity. Okay. So you'll get a Google Doc and a lesson, I would say within the next week. Yeah. Realistically. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Optional excursions in Ecuador. So we've got a Quicocha morning hike that we're going to do. It's this it's this lake in a volcanic crater. It's pretty cool. And there's like a little bit of volcano in the middle of it. It's not active, but it's this beautiful hike that we're going to do. So Quicocha, we'll do that on Wednesday, the 15th. And then the weekend, Cotopaxi is the highest volcano in the world, highest active volcano in the world. And so we're going to go visit Cotopaxi, and someone on this meeting summited Cotopaxi, someone not me, summited this years ago when she was younger. Okay. You could still do it, huh? You could totally still do it.
Thanks.
Yeah, but you were younger when you did it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In Costa Rica, we've got Cafe Brit. This is a fun coffee tour. Volcan Poas, another volcano. We must really like volcanoes.
We do.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's in the Ring of Fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both countries.
And Cebu is this amazing chocolate experience in Costa Rica. So we're definitely going to do some of that. And we may add a couple more Cebu excursions throughout the Costa Rica time, because it's not far away. It's easy to do. And then we've got a couple of weekends where we're going to head to the beach. In an early planning phase, we were planning to go to the Caribbean side of Costa Rica, but Vanessa can tell you there's literally nothing available for us. All the hotels are totally full. It's much less populated over there, so there aren't as many options, but we don't have a place to stay. So I didn't think you wanted to camp in the jungle. Although it sounds kind of fun, it would be very buggy.
Someone put scorpions in the chat.
Yeah, it'd be very buggy and insecty. So we're going to head to the Pacific Coast, Manuel Antonio, wonderful weekend. La Fortuna would be our second weekend while we're there. That is another volcano area with some amazing hot springs, zip line tours, and all of that. And then the weekend of the 16th through the 18th, Tortuguero National Park is this amazing place in Costa Rica where you can see turtles laying their eggs, and you can go on these like jungle boat cruises. It's a lot of fun. So that's are we ready to time out again?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Just answering some questions in the chat. Some of these excursions, you'll notice like a Wednesday or a Friday, they don't interfere with any other things that we have going on. You either have they take place in the morning, and then you're back for classes. So you either have the morning off if you don't want to participate, or you can do some of these. Some of you say, if my program doesn't start till like Monday the 9th, but I want to join, or the following weekend, when was it? Oh, July 5th, but I want to join Manuel Antonio.
Yeah,
yes, come join us. Come in early. You can join us. And then what else did I see in here? Oh, I see. This has nothing to do with excursions, but Pragati said, I just created a WhatsApp group for Costa Rica. fantastic. We'll have our official Common Ground WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
We'll start it a week or two before we depart. And that is where, when you're on program, you will get all updates if there's
Yeah.
schedule changes, things like that.
Yeah.
So we will have designated Common Ground National WhatsApp group for
Yeah.
our entire group as well.
Absolutely. Okay. In the name of time, we need to move forward.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So coming soon, La Lista de Delincuentes. This is that list that both Liam and Quinn were interested in knowing if they're on it. No names on this list today, but here's the paperwork that will show up on that list. First of all, Spanish placement test. If you haven't done it, please do it as soon as possible. We take those placement tests and get preliminary class groupings. And based on those preliminary class groupings, we then contract teachers. And so we really need your placement tests so that we can make sure we've got enough teacher coverage, okay? So please don't delay on that. Do that ASAP, please, if you haven't already. Travel registration form. We can't assign you to a host family until we get this information. And so please, your travel registration form, super importante. Travel contracts, liability waivers, media releases, all that fun legal stuff. We do need that too. So these are kind of in order of importance, honestly. So then comes a copy of your COVID vaccination record. We want a copy on file so that we can produce it should anything happen and you lose it, can't find it, don't have it in any given moment. We'll have it in a folder on our phones so that we can pop it up. You'd be surprised how many times we do it. Same thing with passport. We need a copy of your passport for the exact same thing, to be able to refer to it and have it just in case. And a copy of your flight itinerary. The word copy of flight itinerary is intentional. We would rather you not type up, for example, your flight numbers and your arrival times and things like that, just because it has happened in the past that people make typos and we can't find your flight number. We have no idea where you are. Your host family's at the airport waiting for you. So if you could just send us whatever confirmation you get, or take a picture of it, a screenshot, whatever. The actual copy of your itinerary is the best. So that's the lista, that's the paperwork involved in La Lista de Delincuentes. So when does this list need to be taken care of? In a perfect world, we would love it if you could complete this by May 1st. I know that's not a lot of time. That's coming very quickly.
But some of you've had a lot of time.
Some of you have had a lot of time. So yeah, that's right. Leslie, I thought you were softer. You're not that soft. Nice.
It's from coaching high school boys volleyball.
Oh man, those kids need some discipline. Okay, all right, never mind. Back to our presentation here. Complete and submit all of your paperwork. So that is registration forms, placement tests, contracts. We just saw the list, right? Flights, passports, vaccination records, etc. Those are your action steps by May 1st. Now you've got a little more time to work through your pre-departure course. And here's the link that will get you out there to that pre-departure course. It's a list of all of them. But when you registered for the program, you were redirected to like this welcome page. And did you put the welcome page in there?
Several times.
Okay, all right. So Leslie's got the link to the welcome page in there. You can find your pre-departure course there, okay? All right, still under final development and everything, our specific itinerary, day by day. We've got a very detailed itinerary that's on a Google Doc for both programs. And that'll be something that you'll want to refer to regularly. And every day in the evening, we'll be talking about what's coming up the next day. And oftentimes things change. So that's why it's on a Google Doc and not like something we email out like on a Word doc or whatever. And then our volunteer work doc, we are finalizing some of that. We just got the details this morning. And so Leslie will be updating that in our pre-departure courses and everything too. So that's coming up. Those top 5 things by May 1st, if you can, por favor. We have one more ask of you, actually. Next meetings. We just found out that there is this school thing for our son on the exact same night and at the exact same time that we had this meeting 2 scheduled for. So if we can bump one day instead of May 11th on Wednesday, we would like to do this again on Thursday, May 12th. So like I was saying before, we record all of these. If something happens and you can't make it, lo siento, sorry for the change, but we need to be at school for this award thing. So that's kind of important. And then our final meeting will be Wednesday, June 8th at 7 p.m. Okay. We did it.
I'm answering questions in here, but if
Okay,
you have any
great.
questions about your paperwork, if you've submitted it or not, I am putting in Samantha, who helps us keep track, her email in here, and you can email her. It's support@commongroundinternational.com. Okay. Some people are asking, you want to quit sharing your screen?
I thought I did. Am I still? Oh, I'm sure. Oh, you're seeing that screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to see that.
Okay.
All right.
I just forgot what I said.
Oh, let me take a question here, Kristen. Okay, Leslie already answered it. Okay, great. Oh yeah, knowing Janice, if anyone is on your
Janice,
flight.
Great question. When we send out the itinerary in probably by that May 12th, we'll have the
Mhm.
itinerary. There is a flight document where we are putting right now everyone's flights.
Yep.
And so you can see who's going to be on your flight after May 12th.
Yep.
We're just going to ask for your patience. We have, in addition to this group tonight, we have 3 other high school groups that are at different times. As you can imagine, there are a lot of details. We have great support staff helping us out, Vanessa and Samantha, but if we don't know your question right now, it's because we don't have all the participants' paperwork memorized.
Yeah.
But we are keeping great track of it, and we can get back to you.
Yeah. So along those lines, yeah, Janice asked if she'll get confirmation of everything. Samantha will be sending out some updates about your paperwork status. So, all right, let's go to some of these urgent questions. And all right, where to go with what's that?
I'm going to start with Rachel right here,
Okay.
just because she put it in.
Yeah.
Are there recommended shots beforehand for Costa Rica besides your COVID shots? No. I will say they just recommend that your tetanus is updated, and that your hepatitis, all your regular immunizations are updated, but there's not, the areas that we're going to be at are at no or low risk for malaria, and no other vaccines are required.
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that you'll want to avoid is some mosquito type stuff. So you just want to make sure that you've got plenty of insect repellent, you've got proper long sleeve clothing at dawn and dusk, because all sorts of fun tropical stuff live in mosquitoes, and there aren't vaccinations for all of it. And so you just eliminate or avoid mosquito bites. Okay.
Correct, sissy. I was talking to Rachel, just going directly from US to Costa Rica. But if you're coming from Ecuador to Costa Rica, you do need
yellow fever. Yep. All right, excellent. Let me take here. Okay, so where to go with my daughters? That's probably, honestly, I'll just say that's probably an individual conversation depending on what you want to do, what your kids are like, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't really answer that one. Volunteer activities.
But
we talked about that, but
we can chat about that. Let's set up a phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's my family? Okay, you're going to find out your host family probably. Okay, we always like to have them sooner rather than later. And sooner, just to give you an idea, sooner is like 2 weeks before the trip. Later is like 1 week before the trip. So there's, just so you know, it's not something that we can know right now. There's just so many variables with families. If we told you who your family was today, it's going to change. There's just so much movement with this stuff. So it's going to be probably the week before you travel. Yeah. Okay. That's when you'll know. Best day to buy flights. Okay. Purchasing flights. If you need to purchase your flights still, I suggest you search online in an incognito or a private browser. That way the airlines aren't tracking your activity and messing with the prices, as they know you're seeing the flights and that many times. But I've heard in the past, and we've found good deals midweek, like early in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if you don't have your flights yet, check on, use Google Flights, check on your flights early in the week.
I want to answer another
Yeah.
question. Elizabeth asked, and some other people asked, if they come in a day early or a couple of days early. I know I've been speaking with Cheryl and Catherine Blanchard
Mhm.
about that. If you come in a day early, you have a couple options. You can stay with your host family, and that's a extra day fee, which is $35.
Uh-huh.
Or if there's something that you want to do in San Jose or the surrounding areas, you can stay at a hotel and go explore. So just so you know, it is an option to stay with your host family. We just need to know. If we don't know that, if you don't like directly send us an email saying, I want to come in a day, or I'm going to come in a day early and I want to stay with my host family, then we will make sure your host family knows that
Yeah.
date, and they'll pick you up from the airport. Okay. Whether you're early or on the day that you arrive, your host family or our host family coordinator will be picking you up from the airport.
Yeah.
And we have a whole system about that. We'll talk about that as it gets closer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Dancing. Yes. So we'll be doing some dancing classes and there'll be opportunities to go out and go dancing. It's a lot of fun.
And
Okay.
you'll be taking merengue, salsa, cumbia.
Yeah,
You can practice.
absolutely. Okay. There's a question in there about water filter or of some sort for Ecuador. The thing with Ecuador is that we just always buy bottled water, and your host families will have bottled water or boiled water. And so there's always bottled water. If you want to have a filter, you can do that. I probably won't bring mine because there's just plenty of options to buy bottled water. Costa Rica, you drink water out of the tap, no problem at all. But Ecuador, yeah, you don't drink water out of the tap. It's bottled or boiled. Okay.
Is there a time that we need to arrive on the Saturday? Is there a time we need to arrive by? We say anytime before 9 p.m., right?
Mhm.
That's our cutoff date.
Yeah.
Cutoff time, 9
Yeah.
p.m. If you arrive late, like 9 p.m., it's too late for host families to come and get you and things like that. So if you arrive 9 or earlier, that would be great. And we have several different trips to the airport to pick you up.
Yeah. There is a question about typhoid in the chat from Tanya, and
I will send out information because I just looked it up for my high school group, and I want to say we are recommending it, but I need to see. I need to refer back to that.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
great. Galapagos. There's a question about Galapagos. Yes. So for anyone who is just doing Ecuador, there are a handful of folks who want to go to the Galapagos after the program. And it's not something that will be like a common ground guided thing, but I do have an option for you. And so all the recommendations say less than like 4 nights isn't really enough to really see it. And so it's a 5-day, 4-night trip to the Galapagos. The price tag is right about $1,600. And so if you are interested in that, that would put you at flying home probably on the 30th. So it'd be the 25th through the 29th. And then you'd be back in Quito on the 29th, and then you'd fly home on the 30th, probably. So if you're interested in that, drop your name in the chat box, say, Rory, I want more information about Galapagos, and I'll put it together for you. And we can, the only urgency with this Galapagos thing is making sure that the tour company that has been recommended to us is able to get flights for you, and that includes your flight from Quito to Galapagos and back to Quito. That
600 miles off the coast, Galapagos.
Yeah. So put your name in there if you're interested in that, and I'll be glad to add you to that list of folks, and we can get you on a really fun excursion to the Galapagos Islands. Okay. Cotopaxi.
Wait, I want to. Olivia says, I saw on the packing list that men can wear shorts, but didn't see that for women. So let me answer that question. There's a little cultural thing in there. For volunteer work, we're asking for women to wear
pantsuits,
capris, or pants or skirts, and even men to wear pants. Some of the communities that we're going into, it's just not very common for during the work week, if you will, for professionals in Costa Rica to wear shorts. That said, on the beach, on excursions, on days when we don't do volunteer work, absolutely, you can wear shorts.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. And let's see, Cotopaxi. Cotopaxi is that volcano, that 20,000 foot volcano in Ecuador. And what our plan there is to go on Saturday. There's some horseback riding and hiking, and we'll be at about 12,000 feet. So we will get up a little bit from there, but we're not summiting the mountain or anything like that. But there's hiking, horseback riding, and some Incan ruins, pre-Columbian ruins in the area. And so that's what that weekend is. It's a mountainous, take your layers, jacket type, might rain a little bit, but amazing alpine type experience, mountain views, etc. That's what the Cotopaxi weekend is. Okay. All right. And then what is some other questions here? Let's see. All right. Yeah. So Gina, for packing purposes, Ecuador is everywhere we're at in Ecuador is kind of what you would consider at elevation. And so Otavalo, we're in like the 8,000 foot range. I say that because it gets chilly. It gets chilly in Ecuador. So you're going to definitely want layers for Ecuador, pants, long sleeves, jacket you can slip on. You definitely need a backpack where you can be stuffing some things in. And then in Costa Rica, we'll be lower, but not super low. We'll still be at like 4,000 feet in Costa Rica. And that's like prime coffee growing area. So what's typical of coffee growing area is warm during the day and cool at night. And then also it's kind of like rainy season, or the starting rainy season in Costa Rica. And so in the afternoons, it'll be relatively consistently rainy in the afternoons. That's why we're in classes in the afternoon in Costa Rica, so that if it rains, we're inside. It just doesn't matter. So you definitely want a rain jacket. You don't need a lot of layers for Costa Rica because it doesn't get that cold, not like Ecuador, but you do need something to break the wind and something to keep you dry. So definitely umbrellas, a little portable umbrella, rain jacket, things like that. Okay.
I love that you guys are helping each other out in the chat.
Yeah,
You're answering
absolutely.
questions for each other. That's fantastic. Rory and I have our rain jacket in our backpacks every day in Ecuador and Costa Rica. And Rory carries an umbrella. I don't like maneuvering the umbrella on the sidewalks with other people. So I just
really worry about my hair getting wet is the thing. So that's why I take the umbrella, because I spend so much time working on my hair. Yeah.
A question about school supplies. That is actually today when in Costa Rica, when we were talking about some of their donation needs, they do need school supplies, backpacks, crayons. I'll send out a list in the volunteer document, but it's actually fantastic timing because our school year here is ending right in mid-May, June. So if there's any extra supplies or even gently used supplies, markers and crayons that you can donate to Costa Rica, that would be fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Vanessa, have you seen any big questions in the chat area that we've skipped over here?
I'm gonna go over the ones I had from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about laundry.
Oh yeah, laundry. So your host families are going to do laundry for you. As far as packing goes, you should plan to pack, 5 to 7 days worth of clothes. You don't need to pack 2 weeks of clothes or 3 weeks of clothes. You'll get your clothes laundered. So that's not a problem at all.
I will say that most families don't do laundry every day. It's quite the process to do laundry. Because most families do not have dryers. So all your special underwear I would leave at home in the US, okay, because your underwear and ropa interior will be hanging on the line in Costa Rica and in Ecuador for everyone to see. It's just the common, it's just how it happens. And most host families do laundry once or twice a week. So have several days of underwear and things. So in case your host family doesn't do laundry till a Thursday or something like that.
Yeah. Melissa, I'm seeing your question about the link to the tour. I've been researching. Yes, I'll send it to you. And flying out of another airport, my initial conversation was round trip Quito to Quito. I just think that's easier for them. But if flying out of Guayaquil back home is advantageous for you for whatever reason, then we can look into it. I can just ask and see if it's possible. Okay.
Gina, I saw you. This is your second Scorpions question. I didn't answer the first one. Sorry. When was the last time we heard about scorpion in the house?
They're not that high, they're not at 4,000 and 8,000 feet, but
lower
if
elevation.
you're down on the beach and you're up in the real dry area of Costa Rica, up in the northern area of Costa Rica, that's really more scorpion country. We're going to be more in the spider country. I don't know if that helps, Gina, or not, but
I was going to say, you'll see in host families in Ecuador and Costa Rica, you'll see cucarachas, spiders, and mosquitoes. Those are your main things that in the urban setting.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are past your bedtime,
Buenas
or if you have
noches,
other
Melissa.
obligations, thanks for being on. We're 20 minutes over what we said we would go. If you have more questions, we're happy to answer them for you. But feel free to sign off if you're ready to sign off. Thank you for being here. Okay, what other questions? So paperwork, PDF signing, typing. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's fine, Liam. Let's see.
Wait, Vanessa had questions.
Oh yeah,
remember?
Vanessa, yeah.
Yeah, I had another about transport going back to the airport.
Yes. So country specific, Vanessa, or no?
No.
Okay. In Ecuador, we'll be in Otavalo, which is like an hour and a half from the airport. And so we'll have some planned like bus trips back to the airport. In Costa Rica, we're like 30 minutes from the airport and people are coming and going all the time. And so you'll either take an Uber or a taxi to get back to the airport in Costa Rica. Okay.
Vanessa.
About, yeah, food. Nothing specific, just about food.
About food. Yes,
Yeah.
you will eat.
You'll probably eat a lot. Your host families will feed you a lot of food. In Ecuador, there's lots of stews and lentils and potatoes and meats and fresh fruits and vegetables. In Costa Rica, you're going to get lots of rice and beans and corn tortillas and fresh fruits and vegetables and meats and chicken and things like that. So Ecuador's more of a cooler climate. Lentils and soups and potatoes. And Costa Rica is more tropical, rice and beans and a Caribbean feel to it.
But regardless of typical diets, if you've got diet needs, just make sure that you've explained them well on your travel registration form. That's that form that we use to match you with a host family and everything. Just make sure it's outlined there. And then that's a part of the process of matching you with a host family, someone who's able to meet your dietary needs. Okay. All right.
Vanessa, and then we'll answer these questions in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah, those were the main ones. And from the chat, I also wrote one about the prices for the weekend trips, if there were per person, even if it was a family that was traveling.
Yeah. And yes, they are. And it does add up quickly. But all of those seats on buses and, beds in hotels, that kind of thing, everything's billed out per person. So, if you have some other ideas for some weekend trips, we are happy to help you do something on your own. And we will certainly be a good resource for you to go do your own family trip, for example. We'd be happy to help you do that. Okay.
So Pragati, is it best to try to fit everything into a backpack or carry on size suitcase and then a backpack for weekend travels? I prefer a regular suitcase and then a backpack for weekend travels. That's what I prefer to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Jennifer, do we need, good, español, Jennifer, necesitamos cambiar dinero antes del viaje or solo uso tarjetas de crédito? Okay, don't exchange money before you get down to, well, first of all, Ecuador's in dollars, so that's great news. Costa Rica, you don't need to exchange money before you get down there. You can use credit cards and ATM in Costa Rica. Make sure your card works at the ATM. You'll want to call your bank ahead of time. This information is in our pre-departure course, and that's how you're going to get the best exchange rate using ATM.
Yeah. Yes, Gina, the answer to your question is if you purchased a weekend trip doesn't align with your dates, of course. Yes, we'll get that refunded to you.
Thanks, Tanya. I appreciate that plug because the pre-departure course Rory and I several years ago established, saying there's so much information, there's no way we can answer this all one by one. And so a lot of the information is in the pre-departure course. So if you haven't jumped in there, please do so. And Janice, our airline reservations keep changing. Also, it's driving me bonkers. So you're not alone in that.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Jill, are the dates you mentioned for the weekend trips the only available times? Those are the only available times that we are organizing group optional activities. If you have other dates and other ideas, we will help you. We have resources and we can give you some suggestions.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. It looks like people are beginning to sign off. And don't we have another meeting?
I'm hoping our daughter got on that soccer meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I hope she did too. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else?
We'll stay on and answer more questions, but I know you guys are super busy. We're super busy, and these meetings are really important. And we just want to thank you for being here tonight,
Absolutely.
meeting you face to face. And there's only so much you can do via email and online. So this is the next best thing to meet you before we get down to Costa Rica or Ecuador. So thank you guys so much. Muy buenas noches if you have to leave. And as I said, we're going to stay on for those last minute questions.
Yep. Buenas noches, amigos.
Buenas noches. Yep.
All right, we're here if you got more questions.
Hey, Rory and Leslie, I just want to update you guys real quick about me, Scabby. I had originally reached out. I'm going to do the Costa Rica trip and was needing to be there a week late, but actually I got it all worked out with my sister. So I'm going to be there on June 25th. No need to change me around and stay late.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Very good.
All right.
So good. Now I just got to get the flights.
Okay.
So when you get your flights, you can put it in an email and just so we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I got you.
Perfect.
I will do that.
Note those so we can update Samantha in the language school list.
Like
In the host family list.
Inocente on the 25th,
Fifth,
more or
25th.
less, depending on flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Muchas gracias. Buenas noches.
Mucho gusto.
Buenas noches.
All
Hi, I'm
right.
the one first time traveling outside of the US. Do we have to have our passport to book the flights? Because I sent away for my renewal passport and I don't know what the
You can book
process
your-
is.
Yeah, you can book your flight without the passport number, but before you get to the airport, you'll want to log into whatever airline you book your flight through and update that information. It'll just help the checkout process go a little bit faster, but you
Yeah.
can book it without your passport number.
Okay, so I know I'll be on the delinquent list until I get that passport. But I did send it away during my spring break, which was like 2 weeks ago. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You know,
Perfect.
Jill, the shame factor is so far down now that you told us. See, you just told us.
Yeah.
So there's
That's
really
good,
no
that's
shame
good.
now.
Yeah.
Shame for everyone else, but not for you. Okay. All right.
yeah, so I think I'll maybe just email you what I'm thinking of, because I'm going week 4, July 9th is my first week, I think.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And
Is
then
that
you're staying
4?
an extra week. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I'll, for the sake of time, I'll just kind of write down what I'm thinking
Yeah.
before I purchase my flights, and then
Yeah. Email me because we've been in touch before.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Ciao, hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
All right. What other questions, friends?
Sorns and families in bed. It's making me tired.
I think everyone else is eating dinner. That's why their cameras are off. They're stuffing their faces full of food, which is kind of what I'm ready to do.
All right. Unmute yourself if you have any questions. If not, we're going to go ahead and end this meeting.
Okay. Muy buenas.
Countdown.
Yeah.
5,
5, 4,
4.
3,
I hear you.
2, 1.
Uno.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Gracias.